Hello, I'm George Sarishvili and you're watching Rough Test Drive. In today's video we are happy to introduce you to the mighty Ford Mustang Shelby GT-500 Cobra. Joe is feeling as happy as I do because there is no way you can feel otherwise sitting in this car. Either you're shitting your pants from fear or you're enjoying every moment of it. This is the first ever authentic GT-500 to arrive to Georgia. I'd like to thank the owner of this beautiful car for giving us the opportunity to test drive this car. So what is Ford really offering us? This is one of Ford's most top secret cars, which is expensive, rare, and highly exclusive. I'm gonna have to mute the sound of this bad boy because it is extremely loud. I guess Ford wanted people to know from miles away that this car is in the area. So, if you're driving this car, it doesn't matter how far you are, a couple of kilometers, different city, this car is so tremendously loud. You can hear it from anywhere. It has 4 modes of loudness you can pick from. Enough about sound, let's get back to performance. You should know that we have already filmed Mustang S550. We probably won't be able to compare these two, but our goal is to see what GT500 has to offer. First of all, it is horsepower. Performance is top-notch, and it is the fastest muscle car in Ford's entire catalog. Being a proud owner of this car is an unmatched feeling. Let's get to know this beast of a car a bit closer. The word predator really says it all. This car is a real carnivore that is not only fierce but also different. 760 horsepower and 850 Newton meters of torque. These are pretty spicy numbers, more flavorful compared to other muscle cars, and this really explains why a real war sparked between them. Challenger, Camaro and Mustang are the main rivals in this war. It is interesting that all of the above chose their own lane. One is chasing more modern design like Mustang, for example. Challenger is trying to stick to the old school design, the one that is shaped like somebody carved it from a rock using hammer. On the other hand, Camaro is really trying to hold the middle ground. Old school but pretty pointy and transformer looking. These horsepowers are controlled by 7-speed dual-clutch transmission, which is an automatic gearbox. Manual transmission is not included, and I'm going to tell you why. I guess a lot of you already know the answer. In order for this car to show maximum performance, manual transmission is not the best way. Plus, it is about a reputation. That's why in order to get maximum speed, Ford decided to use DCT, or dual-clutch transmission. This is a real dragster, monster of a drag track. DCT changes gears so fast it is impossible to beat this system with manual transmission. This is one of the reasons this car is telling us that it was created for drag. First of all, this is a muscle car with a huge horsepower under the hood, alongside with compressor. Definitely a drag car. Drifting might not be its strongest suit, but we didn't make our way here not to test that ability too. Let's have some fun, goddammit. This car comes in a rear-wheel drive with a cool transmission system and tons of horsepower. Of course we are going to drift test it. Are we, bro? For sure. So let's see how this baby drifts. I guess you can clearly see that after a big struggle and my attempts to tame a Mustang, I have miserably failed. Wild Horse wins this one. Even though I understood what was going on, I still couldn't make it work. I cannot give up at this point. I really need to drift at least one turn, otherwise I won't be able to sleep tonight. It is really tough. I just explained the reasons why. Let me show you what is going on. I'm going to pull over to the side. Right wheel is almost off the road right now. So, the first reason why this car acts the way it does while drifting, I remembered everything I know about drifting. Championship of Georgia, urban championship, street racing, mountain drifting, everything. But I'm still not satisfied. So I'm turning left to the fullest. To the fullest. Look what's happening. I cannot make a full turn unless I reverse the car. This means that car cannot perform a big turn, which is really bad for professional drifting. By professional drifting, I mean driving on a special track, performing combos, and so on. It is physically impossible for this car to do that. This car provides only super restrained drifting, which is obviously not a requirement for professional drifting, which I am used to and which you are seeing in my show frequently. It is not a level of drifting you can achieve, for example, on BMW. Second, this car has more horsepower than we actually need. This means that by slightly pushing the gas pedal, the car instantly loses control, especially when the traction is off. When the whole power of a car is being transmitted to the axle, at this very moment action becomes so powerful and fast that it becomes extremely hard to control the car. Somebody might disagree with me and say that Mustangs can drift too. In case we tune this car properly, increase steering angle, use hydro e-brake and use slick tires, then yes. Right now I'm talking about a factory setting GT-500, which is a tough drifter by default. Right now I am pushing a gas pedal with my finger, like this. And in an instant this is happening. As soon as I push the car to the fullest, I'm making a turn and looking behind like this, wondering when will I finally stop. That's why it is so hard. Nevertheless, I don't want to give up. I want to properly drift a couple of turns. I'm not talking about doing combo here or doing some Need for Speed type of shenanigans. I'm not leaving this track without a couple of proper turns. Let's try second time. I need to take a time out here. Let me remind you something. Little Joe Emo and Paper Joes. If you want to support our channel, you can purchase them. Let me remind you that buying this product means that you are buying our product. I have previously explained why it has such a good smell, what types of aromas are available, but let me remind you one more time. Some people say that this smell is too subtle and too weak, but this is done because there are special requirements for these kinds of perfumes not to be toxic. Prolonged exposure to a strong aroma in the car can cause headache, nausea or dizziness. Well, of course, if your goal is to get high and OD over a car freshener, this product is not for you. But if you want your car to smell nice, and if you want to support our channel, you absolutely should get Joe and Emo. Joe has an average price. Emo is a bit more pricey. Paper Joe is cheaper. It doesn't matter which one you buy. By buying these, you support our channel. Now we can go back to Mustang. I calmed down a little bit. I just pushed my emotions to the floor, pressed it with the pedal. Now we can open the hood and see the engine itself. So, you need to open hood from inside. Then you gotta go up front and open it from this factory installed lock system. Then pull it. After that, all you need to do is call people in NASA so they send you a code which you need to dial in and it's done. This is a 5.2-liter monster. 5.2. You might say it is not that much since we are used to 30.0 volume engines, but this is a 5.2 Predator. A supercharger compressor is attached to the engine from above. Real factory installed supercharger, we call it compressor in our lingo, with volume of 2.6 liters. Overall, this beast is capable of producing 760 horsepower. This number really speaks for itself. It's a lot for a rear-wheel drive vehicle. These types of surfaces don't make sense for this car. This asphalt over here is like ice for this car. It is going to slip anyway. It is slipping in every gear, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and in the end, tire just blows up. And the car keeps going. Americans really did a great job with design here. Right off the bat, we see a huge strut installed over the engine. Here we see a vicious, venomous cobra. Here we see a signature of the guy who hand-built this engine. Everything looks fine, except this freaking thing, with the same type of hoop which really doesn't do much service to the rest of the design. It would be great if they covered it with plastic. This thing is straight up ugly. All this face-eating, acid-looking green anti-freeze is making me nervous. When we did an episode about 5.0, we made fun about the same detail. I got a feeling if we open the hood, this liquid is going to squirt in our faces. But if we close our eyes on this little detail, whole design looks absolutely fantastic. Especially this cobra on the engine looks super cool. This car has so many names. Engine Predator, Cobra, Shelby, Mustang, GT. This car has only one hood lift. The hood is made of aluminum. Here we got a hood scoop, which you can remove in the summer. This is what you absolutely should do when you're on the track in the summer. All the hot air that is usually trapped under the hood gets ventilated out and it helps car to cool down. I'm going to close the hood because I talked almost about everything under it. Now, let's move on to design. Attention, the look. Screw Taiwan. Of course, I am no angel. I myself have bought some parts like front spoilers, just to make my car a bit prettier. But I mean, Americans. I guess they drank tons of beer. Or on the contrary, maybe they did not. They were making this design, drawing it, focusing, concentrating with that one brain cell that's left so they could create a cool car. And then Taiwan came and effed the things up. You can modify a whole car now. I'm not talking about little stuff like the front spoiler, I'm talking about a whole front part of the car. So it becomes impossibly hard to identify Mustang models. Is it a real GT-500 or an ordinary EcoBoost? Every car has the same design now. It's like a package now. You just go to a tuning company and tell them you want a GT-500. They just chop off the front part and here you go. In reality, this car costs 100k plus, if of course you're able to find it, because demand is super high. We are living in last days of 8-cylinder cars. There is only a handful of us left who is going to enjoy 8-cylinder cars because next generation of cars is completely electronic. I call them vibrators, electro-hybrids. Next AMG is going to have a 4-cylinder turbo. BMW is also on the same page, not only Mercedes. American cars as well. Didn't you hear what Mustang did? They manufactured Mach-E, a completely electronic car. Anyways, this is the last battle of muscle cars. That's why they wanted it to be unique. until Taiwan entered the chat with their fake bumpers. When I was driving in the city, different people that recognized me came up to me and started to ask me what engine is inside the car. They were not even asking whether it is GT-500 or no. Some thought that it was EcoBoost, some suggested it was 6-liter engine, and some thought it was just an ordinary GT. Nevertheless, I still want to say that this car is absolutely beautiful. Of course it is a bit wider. If you compare it to fake, it's pretty obvious. In pictures, they look pretty similar though. You might even not be surprised when you see the front part. There are still many details that Taiwan didn't or could not copy. This is what makes this car pretty unique at the end of the day. There are certain details that cannot be copied. This spoiler is unique due to its beautiful design. 2 air scoops, plus we have some ducktail added which makes it look super cool. Rear lights. These lights have a band shape. Actually, they didn't make a definite decision on the restyling part, but I love the fact that the front part has remained. Because restyled Mustangs have different shapes of front lights. Sure, it makes it look more aggressive, but overall, it's not my cup of tea. This car was issued in 2020. It's a restyling period already, but the front side is made in an old style. I want you to pay attention to the exhaust. I like so many things about the rear side of this car. Exhausts right away are enormous. The sound that they make is extremely loud, especially on the track mode. It sounds like a hurricane. It is super satisfying from the inside of the car and even more so from the outside. Especially the sound of shift. It really sounds like a lightning, like earthquake. You might think Kraken has awakened. One more unique part is diffuser, which doesn't look like a standard one. Pay attention, we don't have stripes anymore here. We have these beautiful triangular holes. I also can see the air cooling system here. This is all functional and looks super cool. Shout out to Americans. Great job, I owe you a cold one or a 6-pack. It is true that I was not able to show you the drifting that I'm used to, that you expect from me, but I'm not going to stop on this. We won't give up. We want to present you a proper smoke. This is why we're going to drift in American style, a lost control style. Let's go. Rest in peace, tires.
I'ma need safety. Tell her I can't snake me. Ray gun off safety. My girl so tasty. Tell her it's your world. She want the 2-tone spaceship. Blow smoke screen daily, so the stress don't phase me. I'm going.
Drifting in American style was quite a short experience. This is why we changed tires and teleported to a drag strip. So let's safely see how this car is reaching 100 from 0 and 200 from 100 kilometers. We will show you all the data later. This car has its own system that measures the time it takes to reach 100 kilometers per hour. But we will make a drag measurement ourselves for some extra data, because some of you really want to know how long it takes GT to reach 200 from 100. We will try to show you an ideal result, even though we don't have ideal circumstances. Ideal circumstances are real drag strip with glue, with slicks being heated up and so on. Actually, this car can heat itself up pretty well. without damaging brakes. It has a system that automatically turns off, so you're able to heat up your wheels using gas and brakes. This will give your car better friction and therefore a higher speed. I just gulped my hell drink. Joe is ready. Let me show you a bit of magic that is going on here. But it's not so complicated overall. Here we have a Cobra button that allows us to choose modes. I'm not talking about sport or normal or rain and snow. This Cobra button allows us to choose from additional options. Here we have some standard buttons which are placed here to switch modes. Let's choose a drag strip mode. Holy cow. We chose drag strip. Now let's push Cobra, which gets us to launch control. Let's set RPM. 2500 will do. I think it's enough for this particular strip. No, let's keep it 2000 for a better grip. I think we are set and ready to go. Should we? I almost sped up my lungs when I pushed the brakes. It was a good stop, I loved it overall. Let's stop for a second. 0 to 100, 4.8 seconds, well. Ford officially says a different number. It is 3.3. Of course, I'm sure it's accurate on the drag strip. 100 till 200, 7.15. 0 to 200, 12 seconds. You ready? 3, 2, 1. From 0 to 200, we see 12 seconds on the display. Exactly 12 seconds. Let's check the app. It was the same number in the first result. 0 to 200, drag indicates 11.62. 0 to 100, 4.54. Quarter is 11.94. Our data deviates pretty strongly from the factory data. But obviously, it has a lot to do with tires that are definitely not racing slicks. We drive on an ordinary surface. We didn't fine-tune settings for drag race purposes. This is how this car operates by default, in the city environment. We tested this car using factory presets. I wanted to show all this to people that doubt this car's possibilities because of their ignorance. Neither C-Class nor other cars we test drive never showed the results that are indicated on paper. I mean, the original factory data. These kinds of results are really hard to achieve. 4x4 cars are mostly really close to factory specifics because they have a much better grip and better slippage on the road. This is why factory quadros are showing similar results. Rear-wheel drive cars, on the other hand, are a struggle in this case. That's why you need to set RPM and so on. The only thing I can tell you about this car is that it accelerates splendidly. As soon as you push the pedal, the car flies, and you start to fear for your life in hope that it doesn't go off the rails. It has tons of modes: drag mode, track mode, sport mode, normal, rain, small precipitation, and so on. A weather report guy pops up in front of a green screen who explains to you weather stuff. We already talked a lot today, but it won't be a proper test drive if we don't review the interior. Let's start the car. Pretty standard like in the other Mustang. Buttons are also similar. We have two indicators over here, pressure and temperature. But the main thing which makes this car special is over here. This awesomely looking dashboard. What is so good about it? It works super smoothly. It never jammed on me. As soon as you switch modes from here, it is indicated on the dashboard. Let me switch it. Track. Let's give it some loading time. Ta-da! It's in track mode now, and figures change design accordingly. It is good looking. It's not something you would go crazy about, but it's really good. I loved it. The steering wheel is of the standard shape. Here we have a Cobra image. It is made of Alcantara with the sporty line in the middle. Great. Seats. I love them. Super comfortable racing seats. These are Recaro seats. One more Cobra behind my back. This rascal used to bite me each time I would mess up my drag test drive and I had to fight back. I guess you saw this as well. I'm sure it couldn't escape your eagle eye. How can I explain this? I guess it is the weight. I can't find any other explanation for this, so I think it's done this way for weight-reducing purposes. This is what this company is often trying to do to reduce the weight of the car, but it is obviously not their strongest suit. Muscle cars are mostly really heavy. It's not as heavy as Hellcat, which is 2.2 tons, but it's still massive, weighing 1.7 tons, so it is definitely not a featherweight. We have some carbon panels here. Bang & Olufsen sound system is responsible for the sound in this car. We have a black roof, a couple of cheap plastic parts are also present, but I would not be this picky about such small details in such a car. I guess I could close my eyes on such silly details sitting in the belly of this beast. And the last but not the least, a big surprise for me. Instead of a big airplane-like lever, Ford decided to use this tiny knob that switches gears. Overall, a good interior. I am satisfied. It is pretty good. It was a really pleasant experience to drive this car. I am sure you would also have fun if you owned it. Unfortunately, I don't own it though. Now, a word to potential buyers of GT. We had this conversation with Mustang buyers multiple times, but this time it is about GT. First of all, I cannot encourage you enough to buy these cars because I'm happy to see more of them in the streets. All I'm trying to say is Georgia is the country that orients on Europe. As soon as the price is around 100K, everybody is like, dude, why didn't you buy Porsche? Or why didn't you buy Bentley, BMW, Mercedes, AMG, Audi? But let me tell you this, a person should be free to follow his taste and buy something that he wants to buy. Cheers to the owner of this car, the guy who bought the GT-500, because this is the first GT in Georgia, and for quite a long time it might be the only one. Maybe this car will even be one of its kind in Georgia. All I have left to do is say goodbye to you. My viewers, like this video, leave comments, subscribe, and help to spread the video. On our behalf, we will try to do more episodes with cool cars giving you the top quality production. We are really going to do the best we can. Thanks so much for visiting our channel. It is time to say goodbye. I am going to have some more fun with this car. Bye.